a sense of mystery and wonder in the tone. Have you ever wondered what lies beyond the edges of old maps, where the cartographers wrote, "Here be dragons"? Deep within the whispering mountains, nestled in a valley perpetually shrouded in mist, lies the forgotten kingdom of Eldoria, a place erased from history, its magnificent spires and grand plazas now silenced by the passage of time in a terrible, unseen Corsi. Our story begins with Ethan, a young historian with an insatiable thirst for lost knowledge. Unlike his peers who were content with dusty archives, Ethan was a man of action. He believed that history wasn't just written in books, but etched into the very stones of the world. It was a cryptic passage in a forgotten tome that led him here, to the crumbling gates of Eldoria, a place most considered a myth. The air in Eldoria was heavy, thick with the scent of damp earth and something else, a faint, floral fragrance that seemed out of place in all the decay. As Ethan pushed past colossal, vine-choked gates, he felt a palpable sense of sorrow hanging over the kingdom. It wasn't just abandoned, it was mourning. Intricate carvings on the walls depicted a vibrant civilization, a people who danced with magic and light. What could have happened to them? He ventured deeper, his boots crunching on musk-covered cobblestones, until he reached the heart of the kingdom. A grand conservatory with a glass dome, miraculously intact, that pierced the ever-present mist. And there, in the center, bathed in a soft, ethereal glow, he saw her. She was a figure of incandescent beauty, her form shimmering as if woven from moonlight and sorrow. Her name was Selena. She wasn't a ghost, not quite, but a soul tethered to this place, a prisoner of the very magic that once made her kingdom thrive. For centuries, she had watched Eldoria crumble, unable to leave, unable to forget. When Ethan approached, her voice was like the chime of a distant bell, laced with the weariness of ages. Another lost traveler. "Flee this place. There is nothing for you here, but shadows and regret." But Ethan wasn't deterred. He saw not just a cursed spirit, but the last living piece of the history he had dedicated his life to finding. He learned the nature of her curse. The last king of Eldoria, in a desperate bid for immortality, had tampered with powers beyond his control. The ritual backfired, trapping his people as shadowy phantoms and binding his own daughter Selena as the eternal guardian and prisoner of the kingdom's heart. The curse had a failsafe, a way to break it, but it was locked away behind a series of ancient riddles and trials designed by the kingdom's wisest mages. Selena had seen countless adventurers try and fail over the centuries, consumed by the kingdom's shadowy guardians or driven mad by the riddles. She had lost all hope, but there was something different about Ethan. He didn't see the curse as a treasure to be won, but as a tragedy to be undone. He saw Astrus. Her Astrus, "I'll help you," he said, his voice firm with a conviction that surprised even himself. No one should have to be alone for so long. For the first time in centuries, a flicker of something other than despair sparked in Selena's spectral eyes. Hope. Their quests began in the royal library, a place of towering shelves and floating, spectral books. The first riddle was etched into a crystal lectern. "I have cities, but no houses. I have mountains, but no trees. I have water, but no fish. What am I?" Ethan, with his love for cartography, smiled. "A map," he whispered. As he spoke the word, the air shimmered, and a glowing, spectral map unfurled before them, showing the location of the first trial, the sunken observatory. Reaching the observatory was their first true test. The path was guarded by shadow weavers, twisted entities born from the failed ritual. They were a fast silent and struck from the darkness, their claws made of solidified despair. Here, Selena's connection to the kingdom became their strength. She couldn't fight directly, but she could manipulate the faint light that filtered through the mist, creating brief flashes that would momentarily stun the creatures. It was a dance of trust and timing. Ethan would wield his torch and a sturdy ironwood staff, fending off the shadows, while Selena created openings for him. It was clumsy at first, a series of near misses and desperate dodges, but slowly they found their rhythm, moving as one. Inside the sunken observatory, they faced the trial of stars. The ceiling was a perfect replica of the night sky, but the constellations were scrambled. Selena, remembering the star charts from her childhood, guided Ethan. The sentinel must face the serpent. She'd direct, her voice a soft guide in the darkness. The maiden's harp must sing to the north. Ethan, standing on a central platform, had to rotate massive stone rings to align the celestial bodies correctly. With each correct alignment, a deep hum resonated through the chamber, until finally, with the last constellation in place, a beam of pure starlight shot down, revealing the key to their next location. A single, perfectly preserved moon petal flower. The moon petal led them to the hanging gardens of Eldoria, a breathtaking series of terraces built into the cliffside. But the beauty was deceptive. Here, they faced the trial of reflections. They entered a labyrinth of mirrors, each one showing not their own reflection, but reflections of their deepest fears and regrets. Ethan saw visions of his family, disappointed in his choice to chase fantasies. He saw himself old and alone, having failed in his quest. The phantoms whispered that he was wasting his life, that he would be forgotten just like Eldoria. But then, he saw Selena's reflection. She wasn't just a shimmering spirit anymore. In the mirrors, she was solid, real, but she was crying, trapped behind the glass. Her fear wasn't of loneliness, but of losing this one chance at freedom, of dragging Ethan down with her. Seeing her fear gave him strength. He realized these were just illusions designed to break their will. "They're not real, Selena," he shouted, his voice echoing through the maze. "Our strength isn't in our past. It's in what we do now, together." He smashed the mirror, showing her pain, and the sound shattered the illusion. The entire labyrinth dissolved, leaving a single, clear path forward. Their final trial awaited them in the throne room, where the source of the curse still lingered. The corrupted spirit of the last king, no longer human, was a maelstrom of shadow and rage, a monstrous entity known as the Shade King. He was the ultimate guardian. This wasn't a battle of swords and shields. The Shade King fed on despair, and the throne room itself seemed to sap their energy and hope. Ethan felt his strength failing, the weight of 1,000 years of sorrow pressing down on him. But Selena, now more determined than ever, did something unexpected. She stopped trying to fight the darkness. Instead, she focused on the light within. She began to hum an old Eldorian lullaby, a song of hope and renewal. The simple melody cut through the Shade King's oppressive aura. It was a memory of a time before the curse, a memory of love, of fatherhood. The melody reached the core of the monstrous shade, and for a moment, the raging storm of shadow faltered. In that instant, Ethan saw their chance. The source of the king's power was a dark crystal embedded in the throne itself. With a final, desperate surge of energy, he lunged forward, not with a weapon, but with a moon petal flower from the observatory. He pressed the flower against the crystal. Light and shadow erupted. Starlight from the moon petal battled the darkness of the crystal. The entire kingdom shook. The song of Selena grew stronger, joined by a chorus of faint, spectral voices. The lost people of Eldoria, their hope rekindled by her melody. The combined force of light and memory was too much. With a final, agonized roar that was both monstrous and sorrowfully human, the Shade King dissolved, not into nothingness, but into a gentle shower of fading light. As the darkness receded, the oppressive mist over Eldoria began to lift for the first time in centuries. Sunlight, real and warm, streamed through the shattered dome of the conservatory. The shadowy figures throughout the kingdom solidified for a moment, turning to Selena and Ethan with expressions of silent gratitude before peacefully fading away. And Selena, she was no longer shimmering. She stood before Ethan, solid, real, the curse finally broken. The centuries of sorrow were gone from her eyes, replaced with tears of overwhelming joy and gratitude. The forgotten kingdom was silent once more, but it was a peaceful silence. Its history had been witnessed, its tragedy had been mourned, and its last soul had been set free. Their journey together was over, but a new one was just beginning. Eldoria was no longer a prison, but a home, waiting to be rediscovered, not on a map, but in the pages of a new history, one that Ethan and Selena would write together. Thank you so much for joining me on this incredible journey through the Lost Kingdom of Eldoria. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next adventure into the unknown. Until next time, keep seeking the stories that are waiting to be told.